Welcome back to YogaSteady Studio, an original hot yoga podcast. I'm Jennifer Rochelle, and every week I explore what it means to be a yoga teacher, not just in the hot room, but in the real world where the sacred and the practical always seem to collide. This week's episode is called The Vatican, the Studio, and the Price of Sacred Space. And yes, it's exactly what it sounds like. I recently came across a story about the Vatican's ongoing financial struggles. Despite millions of visitors and some of the most priceless art in the world, they've been running a deficit for years. And guess what? Each time, one of their number one cost-cutting measures is paying the cardinals less. If you are a yoga teacher, I bet this sounds familiar. In the world, when a studio is financially strained, it's the teachers, the ones holding the sacred space, who are often the first to feel it. Pay cuts, reduced schedules, or pressure to teach more for less. This got me thinking about the strange expectations we all carry. We want our spiritual experiences to feel sacred, to feel expansive, maybe even transcendent, but not necessarily expensive. Today, we look at what's going on at the Vatican, how it mirrors the quiet pressure yoga teachers and studios face every day, and why all of this matters when we step into the hot room and say or listen to those familiar words. Let's get into it. Hey, since recording this, the Vatican has elected a new pope. Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost was elected as the 267th pope of the Roman Catholic Church, and he is now known as Pope Leo XIV. But here's the big news and why I'm absolutely bursting to share it with you. He's a longtime close friend of my mother and stepfather. What? And I've got to say, it feels pretty incredible knowing that the person now leading the Catholic Church comes personally vouched for by two people I trust with my whole heart. All right, let's get back to the podcast. So here's what's happening. Vatican City is a sovereign state. Yes, a real country. And like any country, it has a budget. But unlike most countries, its economy is driven not by exports or industry, rather by donations, tourism, and the upkeep of centuries-old spiritual and artistic treasures. And that budget, it's been in trouble for a while. Reports from the last few years show that the Vatican has faced serious deficits. Even before the passing of Pope Francis, there was a quiet concern that financial stress was a factor in his declining health. In response, the Vatican has taken several cost-cutting measures, perhaps the most revealing being this: priests and cardinals are getting paid less. That's right, the very people entrusted with holding space for worship, spiritual guidance, and ceremony are being asked to take the financial hit. And if you've worked in a yoga studio, you've seen this before. The people holding the container for transformation, the teachers, are often the first to be asked to do more for less. And just like the Vatican, yoga studios struggle to maintain a sense of beauty and reverence while quietly battling the math. Because here's the disconnect. The public often assumes that spiritual or artistic experiences should be free, or close to it. They walk into a cathedral, or a yoga room, or museum, and they feel something shift in their spirit. And they forget that electricity, salaries, repairs, heat, admin, laundry, water, and soap, etc., all cost money. Just like the Vatican, yoga studios are sacred spaces that require real-world resources to survive. And this creates tension. What is the value of a spiritual experience, and who's expected to pay for it? Let's bring this close to home. As a former studio owner, I have seen it firsthand. Students fall in love with the practice. They come regularly. They feel transformed. They tell you this space is their sanctuary. And then the pricing conversation happens. Suddenly, unlimited memberships seem too expensive, drop-ins are compared to gym rates, and there's subtle or sometimes not so subtle pressure to offer more for less. But let's be real. A yoga studio is not a cathedral, a museum. It's not a charity. It's a business. It's a living, breathing space held together by heat, rent, software, insurance, cleaning supplies, teacher pay, and yes, someone's time and energy managing it all. The trouble is, we've trained people to see yoga as both priceless and free. That sacred paradox. They want the Sistine Chapel vibes, but they're surprised the toilet paper isn't gold leaf. And listen, I get it. We all want access. We all want to feel like the sacred is available to everyone, regardless of income. And yes, some studios take advantage of that feeling and charge luxury rates without delivering anything close to depth. But on the whole, most studios are just trying to stay open. And teachers, most of them are barely breaking even. They're showing up, holding space, repeating words from memory, making eye contact, adjusting the heat, wiping the mirrors, and driving home, wondering if they can afford to fill their tank. The parallel is clear. Whether it's the Vatican or your local hot yoga studio, people come for a spiritual experience, but they rarely understand the financial reality. And here's the question for us as teachers. How do we continue to offer something sacred, something steady and meaningful, without burning out under the weight of everyone else's expectations? And for students, if this space holds you, how can you help hold it in return? Now, as always, I want to turn to the dialogue. Each week, I will read a posture from the original Hot Yoga dialogue or Bikram's dialogue, not just as instruction, but as something to marvel at, because the words themselves, repeated with care and presence, carry more than just alignment cues. They carry energy, memory, they carry meaning. So this week, I found myself thinking about toe stand pose. All right, I'm going to read the dialogue for toe stand pose. Toe stand pose, Parangushtasana, feet together. Focus one point on the floor, 4 feet in front of you. Don't move your eyes. Don't blink your eyes. Bring your right foot up onto the middle of your thigh or wherever you feel comfortable. Hands, palms together in front of your chest. Bend your body down from the lower spine towards the floor. Touch your both hands, 10 fingers on the floor. Slowly bend the knee. Bring your hips down and sit down on your heel. Bring your hands to both sides on the floor. Stretch your spine up to the ceiling, hips up, balancing on your fingertips. Both knees should be in one line parallel to the floor. Keep focusing one point on the floor, 4 feet in front of you. Slowly bring your left hand up in front of your chest. If you can still balance there without moving, then bring your right hand up, palms together, Namaskar. Stretch your spine up to the ceiling like natural human traction. Suck your stomach in. Balance there. Change. Come up exactly the opposite the way you went down. Additional dialogue. Once in the toe stand. Think I'm pulling your hair towards the ceiling. This is a traction pose, good for your posture. 1/2 inch gap between the hips and the heel. If you sit on your heel, you fall to the right or the left like a flat tire. No collapsing, constant stretching. Here's a note. Beginners should be very careful with their knees. They should bend forward and put their hands on the floor in front of them without bending their knee at first. After becoming proficient enough in the posture, they can bend the knee as they go down. Okay, so much to unpack there, but I am just going to stick with one specific thing each week in the dialogue. And I want to go to that line that says, after becoming proficient enough in the posture, they can bend the knee as they go down. So this is something that I have never heard a teacher give the instruction for. And in fact, I have seen students try it and the teacher browbeat them for doing it in class. So I thought this was so interesting. Teachers get really specific about bending forward without bending the knee. But here in the dialogue, it says beginners should be very careful with their knees. They should bend forward and put their hands on the floor in front of them without bending the knees at first. So if you're a teacher, I highly encourage you to go back and read your dialogue, read that final line on the page of the toe stand pose and see what it means to you. But for me, it definitely means that not bending your knee is for a very brand new beginner. I've been practicing going down by myself with a bent knee, and I've always wondered, is this an advanced posture? Because I've heard a lot of teachers say it's the only advanced posture in the sequence, but I never heard Bikram say it. And I've heard people ask him and he shoos them away. So usually when Bikram shoos someone away, he's like, you already know the answer. I'm not sure we know the answer, but I will say it's in the beginner sequence. So it should be accessible to beginners, maybe not a brand new beginner who doesn't have the flexibility, but somebody who's been practicing for a while. I'm saying, hey, bend your knee, touch the floor, and maybe over time, try to go down on a bent knee. It's also a great reminder that repetition does not mean rote. You try something, you keep working on it, but over time, you will improve, you will master it, and you will evolve. So as we close this episode, here's the reminder I'm sitting with. Sacred spaces are not free. Whether it's the Vatican or a hot yoga studio in your town, someone is keeping the lights on so you can feel something bigger than yourself. That doesn't mean we can't make space accessible, but it does mean we need to be honest about value, about sustainability, and about how we support the spaces that support us. Thank you for being here. If this episode sparked something in you, please subscribe, share it with a friend, or leave a review. It helps me more than you know. You can find the links to all the sources and resources in the show notes, including reports on Vatican finances from the Associated Press and the New York Post, and a few resources on the history of sacred economies. If you have any suggestions for episodes, or if you are a studio owner, please contact me. I would love to tell your story. And if you want to study, train, or teach with me, visit www.bikramyogastudy.com, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook at YogaSteady Studio. Again, you'll find all of this in the show notes. Next week, I'm going to discuss the Eurovision Song Contest and how we create cultural unity through music. Thanks for listening. Stay steady and grounded, stay curious, and as always, lock your knee.